Here are the top stories for today, July 23, 2019. The government defends its treatment of the West Philippine Sea issue and the country's ties with China. President Duterte urges Congress to help lift 6 million Filipinos out of poverty. Law enforcement agencies in Western Visayas support the imposition of death penalty for illegal drugs. And the Gilas Pilipinas women face Australia in the opening game of the FIBA Women's Asia Cup.
Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. President Rodrigo Duterte assured the public on Monday that the Philippine government is performing a delicate balancing act on the issue of the West Philippine Sea so as to avoid engaging with conflict with other claimants such as China. Rom Dulfo reports.
President Rodrigo Duterte reiterates that the administration's bilateral discussion with China would prove to be fruitful than a squabble in public.
On the matter of the West Philippine Sea, the avoidance of conflict, armed conflict, and protection of our territorial waters and natural resources compel us to perform a delicate balancing act. A shooting war is grief and misery multiplier. War leaves widows and orphans in its wake. I am not ready or inclined to accept the occurrence of more destruction, more widows, and more orphans should war, even on a limited scale, breaks out. That is why I will do in the peaceful way, mindful of the fact that it is a national pride and territorial integrity that are at stake.
Answering those urging the government to stand up and stop those who fish in the country's exclusive economic zone, or EEZ, the president said the Philippines will do in due time. Citing the existing condition in the area, the president said he cannot easily send the Coast Guards to drive the Chinese away from the Philippine waters. However, he maintains that the West Philippine Sea belongs to the Philippines and the national honor and the territorial integrity shall be foremost in our mind.
And we may take next steps in the smoldering controversy over the lines of arbitral ruling. The West Philippine Sea is ours. There is no ifs and buts. It is ours. But we have been acting along that legal truth and line. But we have to temper it with the times and the realities that we face today.
For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Rom Dulfo.
Stressing how government still has a long way to go in the fight against illegal drugs, President Rodrigo Duterte has renewed his request for Congress to reinstate a death penalty for heinous crimes related to drugs and plunder. More on this from Miguel Hill.
I respectfully request Congress to reinstate the death penalty for heinous crimes related to drugs as well as plunder. I am aware that we still have a long way to go in our fight against this social menace. Let the reason why I advocate the imposition of the death penalty for crimes related to illegal drugs.
President Duterte has been very vocal on implementing death penalty in the country, particularly to those who are involved in illegal drugs. Before renewing his call to revive death penalty, he discussed how the illegal drug problem was connected to the 5-month Marawi siege from May 23 to October 27, 2017. He said the terrible devastation in Marawi is caused by illegal drugs.
During that Marawi siege, tons of shabu worth millions and millions of pesos. Drug money killed 175 and wounded 2,001 of my soldiers and policemen in that 5-month battle.
Duterte said it pained him to see how his two campaign promises, curb illegal drugs and corruption, are yet to be realized.
It has been 3 years since I took my oath of office, and it pains me to say that we have not learned our lesson. The illegal drug problem persists. Corruption continues and emasculate the courage we need to sustain our moral recovery initiatives.
Two of President Duterte's allies in Congress, Senators Ronald Bato de la Rosa and Christopher Bongo, have both vowed to push for the revival of capital punishment. For the PNA Newsroom, I am Miguel Hill.
President Rodrigo Duterte asked Congress to pass a measure imposing a midnight liquor ban. Duterte said that while he had already succeeded in implementing a nationwide smoking ban, similar to what he did in his hometown of Davao City, he also wanted establishments to close by midnight. He clarified that he would not issue an executive order on a midnight liquor ban, similar to what he did with a nationwide smoking ban, as he was just merely suggesting. He admitted that he felt that it would not be a popular move in Congress because it would adversely affect businesses that operate during nighttime, but noted that it would do good for people's safety. Duterte, however, acknowledged that the liquor ban in Davao City started at 2 a.m. and not midnight. He meanwhile floated the idea of banning karaoke and videoke by 8 or 9 p.m.
So are you going to issue an EO, executive order for that?
I was just suggesting, I'd like to Congress to ponder on it and maybe sleep on it, and if they want. But it can improve tremendously the quality of life. Stop drinking at almost 11, then you go home. Overall, by experience, that it will do good. But I said it would be at the expense of a reduced income for those who operate nightclubs, clubs, discos during nighttime.
President Duterte on Monday dedicated a large portion of his fourth State of the Nation address expressing his frustration over corruption within the government and his promise to use the remaining 3 years of his term to curb it. President Duterte particularly pointed out that he was grossly disappointed by massive fraud within the PhilHealth related to irregularities in the funding of bogus kidney dialysis treatments. He said he has ordered the National Bureau of Investigation to arrest and prosecute those who are liable and appointed retired Army General Ricardo Dick Morales to prioritize ridding the agency of corruption. He also mentioned how he would send corrupt BOC employees to report to Congress every day since he could not simply fire them due to security of tenure. According to Duterte, the BOC could have collected more revenues than the 585 billion pesos it posted in 2018 if its employees were less corrupt. The president also urged Filipinos to use the government's 8888 hotline to report corruption complaints and touted the signing of the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act to improve service, delivery, and fight corruption. Duterte acknowledged that although he has been working for government for almost 35 years, he still does not have answers on how to end corruption.
I will push harder in the pursuit of programs that we have started, but always within the parameters of the law. I will not merely coast along or while away my time during the remaining years of my administration. It ain't my style, but I will not stop until I reach the finish line. Then and only then shall I call it a day. Our goal for the next 3 years is clear.
Officials of the Bureau of Customs say they are ready to comply to the order of the President to report in Congress every day. And the proposed national budget for 2020 may be submitted this August. More on this from Janice Cave.
Customs Assistant Commissioner Vincent Philip Marunilla on Monday said the BOC officials who are ordered to report in Congress every day are ready to follow and comply to the orders of President Rodrigo Duterte. Duterte, during his SONA yesterday, said he is hoping to get the full support of the Congress regarding the BOC officials who are tainted with corruption.
I will just allow them to have their plantilla positions, but they have to report to Congress every day to help me in the huge paperwork that we have to do every day. All of them will go out from the premises of the customs area.
Meanwhile, the proposed 2020 national budget may be submitted this August. In an interview over PTV4, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles said the proposed budget is still being finalized. Last year, Duterte submitted the proposed 3.7 trillion peso national budget for 2019 to the Congress on the same day he delivered his third State of the Nation address. In other news, several lawmakers from the House of Representatives lauded President Duterte's fourth State of the Nation address and expressed full support on his legislative agenda. Newly installed House Majority Leader Martin Romualdez said they will work double time to act on the President's priority bills, especially those aimed at improving the lives of the people. Quezon City Representative Alfred Vargas thanked Duterte for giving Congress a marching order to pass a law creating a Department of Disaster Resilience. Iligan City Representative Frederick Xiao expressed full support for Duterte's call to reimpose the death penalty for drug-related crimes. Pacman Party List Representative Mikey Romero lauded Duterte's call for public support to his administration's anti-corruption campaign. Bagong Henerasyon Party List Representative Bernadette Herrera Diz said she would ask the House leadership to convene at the earliest possible time to tackle the bills on water, including her bills on the creation of a Department of Water Resources and a Water Regulatory Commission. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
Still to come, President Duterte urges Congress to help lift 6 million Filipinos out of poverty. Law enforcement agencies in Western Visayas support the imposition of death penalty for illegal drugs. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Today, for the third and final installment of the Pre-SONA series themed Tatak ng Pagbabago, Patuloy na Katatagan. The Climate Change Adaptation, Mitigation and Disaster Risk Reduction Cluster and the Security, Justice and Peace Cluster will share the details about what the government has done and is doing in terms of environmental protection, resiliency to climate change impacts, reforms in the justice system, as well as internal and external security.
As a way forward, the government shall continue to pursue policy reforms that integrate climate and disaster risk considerations into development policies, strategies, plans, and programs. Patuloy tayong sasabak sa aksyon para sa mapangalagaan ang biyayang dulot ng kalikasan. Patuloy natin sasagipin ang Boracay at iba pang nanganganib na tourist destinations.
Peace and order come first and pave the way to development. Ang pampublikong kaligtasan, hustisya at kapayapaan ang unang hakbang tungo sa kaunlaran. At tayong lahat ay may bahaging dapat gampanan dito. Kami sa SJPCC ay nagkakaisa sa layuning ipaabot sa taong bayan ang patuloy na pinahuhusay at may pusong paglilingkod ng pamahalaan para sa kapakanan ng pamilyang Pilipino. Ito po ang patuloy nating katatagan para sa kinabukasan ng sambayanan.
President Rodrigo Duterte has appealed to Congress to pass measures that will help government lift 6 million Filipinos out of poverty. Citing the Philippine Statistics Authority, Duterte said poverty incidence fell from 27.6% in the first half of 2015 to 21% in the first half of 2018. However, the government's challenge now is to lift some 6 million poor Filipinos out of poverty by the end of his term in 2022. In his fourth State of the Nation address, or SONA, on Monday, Duterte asked Congress to also pass the remaining packages of the tax reform program. He cited Package 2 of the Comprehensive Tax Reform Program, or the Trabajo Bill, which would energize micro, small, and medium enterprises and will encourage them to expand their business to generate 1.4 million jobs. Duterte also asked Congress to approve a new version of the salary standardization law to include teachers. He also urged Congress to review and pass the government right-sizing bill and streamline government systems. Duterte earlier signed into law a Magna Carta of the Poor, as well as an act institutionalizing the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program. President Rodrigo Duterte ordered 5 government agencies to simplify their transactions and use technology to accelerate service delivery. The President issued the directive to Land Transportation Office, Social Security System, Bureau of Internal Revenue, Land Registration Authority, and Pag-ibig Fund as he delivered his fourth State of the Nation address at the House of Representatives. The chief executive also directed other government agencies and corporations, as well as local government units, to simplify their processes and make them responsive to their clients. He said he is expecting an improved service delivery with the signing of the Ease of Doing Business and Efficient Government Service Delivery Act last year. The law is also expected to fight corruption in the government. The President also urged Filipinos to report corruption via 8888 hotline that is open 24 hours a day. President Rodrigo Duterte on Monday promised that the entry of the country's third telco player is corruption-free. During his fourth State of the Nation address, Duterte guaranteed his hands-off approach on the entry of Dito Telecommunity Corporation. He asked the new telco to do its job and to follow government requirements. He also challenged the provider to fulfill the country's need for fast and reliable telco service, especially in parts of the country undeserved by the previous duopoly of Smart Telecommunications and Globe Telecom. Duterte earlier awarded Mislatel Consortium, now called Dito Telecommunity, the permit to operate as the Philippines' third telco provider. The corporation is a consortium led by Davao-based businessman Dennis Uy and composed of Uy's Udena Corporation, its subsidiary Chelsea Logistics, and China Telecommunications Corporation. Provincianos commended President Rodrigo Duterte as he enumerated his plans and programs in his fourth State of the Nation address on Monday. In Central Luzon, residents in the region expressed their gratitude to President Duterte for his strong conviction to fight illegal drugs and corruption. They also praised the president for pushing his legislative agenda, such as the creation of the Department of Overseas Filipino Workers and the diplomatic resolution of the West Philippine Sea dispute. And in Eastern Visayas, Duterte also earned praises from professionals for passing the Ease of Doing Business Act. They are also pleased to hear that the massive cleanup of Boracay was just the beginning in the objective of protecting the environment. Cash-strapped farmers in the region are also pleased to hear the President's reiteration on the mandate of Land Bank to help them. In Socsargen, former regional governor of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Alfredo Bronx Hebrona, hailed Duterte's commitment to pour in more investments to agriculture and improve financing access to farmers in the countryside. In Negros Occidental, Governor Eugenio Jose Lacson on Tuesday said the fourth SONA has set the direction for governance in the final 3 years of Duterte's administration. He further said that the drop in poverty incidence is a good indicator that the government is on the right path in the fight against poverty. Meanwhile, Bicolanos gave mixed reactions, including hope for a better Philippines during President Duterte's SONA. A few said taking full responsibility for all the acts done under the president's term is something that must be proven by actions and not just by the chief executive, but by all the elected and appointed officials. While some do not favor the president's stance on death penalty, others commended the president on the nationwide implementation of the smoking ban, science-based land use planning, and disaster management. The reward for the suspected rebels who killed the 4 police officers in Negros Oriental has been raised to 1.3 million pesos. And Western Visayas supports President Duterte's call to impose the death penalty on drug-related concerns. More on this from Benj Bondo.
In Negros Oriental, President Rodrigo Duterte has raised the reward for the capture of the killers of the 4 police personnel in Sitio Yamot, Barangay Mabato in Ayungon Town on July 18. Duterte earlier offered a 1 million peso reward for the capture of the killers who were suspected members of the CPP-NPA. Duterte later bared he would add 300,000 pesos to the bounty, saying he prefers to have the killers dead. Meanwhile, the National Task Force to End Local Communist Armed Conflict, or NTF-LCAC, condemned all gruesome acts perpetrated by the communist terrorists. According to Major General Antonio PRRD Jr., the cold-blooded torture and execution of 4 undercover police by members of the CPP-NPA in Negros Oriental is nothing new, as they have been committing atrocities left and right for the past 50 years. PRRD, who is also AFP Deputy Chief of Staff for Civil Military Operations, said the rebels have no qualms in killing these 4 police officers, as they have been known to brutally torture and kill their own supporters whom they suspect of betraying them. He also lauded Human Rights Watch researcher Carlos Conde for calling the slay of the 4 police officers as a serious violation of the international humanitarian law by the rebel group. In Western Visayas, top officials of anti-drug law enforcement agencies have supported a call of President Duterte to impose the death penalty versus illegal drugs and heinous crimes. They say it would be a deterrent to those who are involved in drugs. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Benj Bondo.
Up next, President Duterte orders local government units to enforce environmental protection laws. Gilas Filipinas women face Australia in the opening game of the FIBA Women's Asia Cup. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Ngayong araw, nakipagpulong ang mga indigenous peoples leaders mula sa Mindanao dito naman sa mga mambabatas sa US Congress sa Washington, D.C. Tinalakay nila yung mga issue o yung mga struggles ng ating pong mga IP sa kamay ng mga CPP-NPA at yung mga karahasan na ginagawa ng mga komunistang rebelde. Napakahalaga ng diskusyon na ito dahil dalawa sa kanilang mga nakausap na mga mababatas ay may mga dugong Pinoy, sina Congressman T.J. Cox at Congressman Bobby Scott. Napakahalaga rin ito dahil itong mga mambabatas na nakausap nila ay mga miyembro ng mga komite na nakaka-impluwensya sa paggawa ng foreign affairs policy ng Estados Unidos.
We're the Philippine Friendship Caucus, Republicans and Democrats working together, and so we appreciate the folks coming all this way to educate us and bring us up to speed as to what's happening right now. And we'll work with the State Department and the Congress and State Department works together in these types of matters, and hopefully we'll come to some solution to at least assisting.
That's obviously something we have to look into, and that's the first time it's been brought to my attention, and so we have some work to do.
President Rodrigo Duterte has called for more local political will and action that will prevent further environmental degradation in the country. In his State of the Nation address, the president ordered the local government units nationwide to take extra steps in enforcement of laws so their constituents can enjoy a healthy ecology. The president noted political will and action are fueling the rehabilitation to address the environmental mess in world-famous Boracay. He lauded the Department of Environment and Natural Resources and its partner agencies for taking up the challenge to save the island. The government this year also mounted the high-profile rehabilitation of historic Manila Bay, making it suitable for swimming and recreation. Aside from Manila and Boracay, Baguio City and other tourist areas are also being eyed for rehabilitation. President Rodrigo Duterte on Monday vowed to declare Boracay under land reform and distribute land titles to the indigenous people originally settling on the island. In his fourth State of the Nation address, Duterte shared that he asked the Department of Agrarian Reform on the status of the land behind White Beach after Boracay was reopened in October 2018. The land was categorized as forestal and agriculture and not commercial. President Duterte ordered DAR to have the land inspected and gave the island piece by piece to the island's native Itas, saying this should dispel speculations that the Boracay rehabilitation was initiated to open up opportunities for businessmen and infrastructure development in the area.
So I told the agrarian reform, go to the place, have it inspected. Because I will declare the whole of the island a land reform program. And I gave the islands piece by piece to the Itas, the natives of the place, para walang masabi. Marami kasi ginawa ko raw, para linisan ko, ibigay ko sa mga kaibigan ko. Wala akong kaibigang mayaman. Ayaw kong kaibigan ng mayaman. Because pagka mayaman ka, tatabilang ka lang sa akin, pati ako napahira na ng kung ano-ano ang hingiin mo sa gobyerno.
Gilas Filipinas women will get an early acid test right on the first game of the FIBA Women's Asia Cup Division A. Gilas women will take on Australia at the opening game on day 1 at the Sri Kantrirava Indoor Stadium in Bengaluru, India on September 24. The main event of day 1 will see host country India taking on defending champion Japan. The tournament will also see China, South Korea, Chinese Taipei, and New Zealand in action. Joining Gilas women and Australia in Group B are China and Chinese Taipei, while South Korea and New Zealand join India and Japan in Group A. China and Chinese Taipei lock horns in the other Group B game on September 24, while the South Korea-New Zealand clash completes the Day 1 schedule. The top teams from each group will get outright semi-final seats. The top 7 of Division A will join the champion of Division B in the process for the 2021 FIBA Women's Asia Cup in a pre-qualifying Olympic tournament. Just like in all previous State of the Nation addresses, Congress became a mini runway for those who sported their best garb, from the stylish to the symbolic. Janice Cave has the story.
The sights in the State of the Nation address has changed throughout the years. Traditionally, it is just centered on the President's report of the administration's performance, but with the public being obsessed with the picture-perfect mentality, the red carpet gradually became another priority for the press. A few hours after the first regular session of the 18th Congress, the legislators took the time to dress up and strut for the cameras as they made an entrance to the big event. Neophyte Senator Amy Marcos is dressed in a stunning yellow gown with a hint of red blush at the bottom. She said she sported the trademark color of their family's longtime political rival because she said she is already tired of rivalries that have been passed through generations. Audrey Tan Zubiri, the wife of Senator Miguel Zubiri, picked an Ito Corata magnetic turquoise top and paired it with her favorite Calachuchi earrings. Bataan Representative Geraldine Roman towered in a silk skirt in shades of pink and topped her look with a traditional Filipiniana shawl. Re-electionist Senator Grace Polia Manzares stood by her all-white look that matches her pure and gentle image projection. Actress Aiko Melendez showed up with her real-life partner Zambales Vice Governor Jay Kong-hoon in a simple white dress. Former Senator and now Antique Representative Lauren Legarda wore a violet patajong woven by the women in Antique, partnered with stylish embroidered pants that created a simple yet elegant vibe in her. Meanwhile, a Manny Pacquiao impersonator joined the VIPs at the red carpet, mirroring his idol and getting cheers from those who got fooled by his looks. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Janice Cave.
The country is expecting good weather except during the afternoon due to the southwest monsoon. The western part of Luzon may experience cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. Meanwhile, let's check out the weather forecast for Metro Manila and the rest of the country. Let's take another look at today's biggest stories.
The government defends its treatment of the West Philippine Sea issue and the country's ties with China. President Duterte urges Congress to help lift 6 million Filipinos out of poverty. Law enforcement agencies in Western Visayas support the imposition of death penalty for illegal drugs. And the Gilas Pilipinas women face Australia in the opening game of the FIBA Women's Asia Cup.
Thank you for watching another edition of the PNA Newsroom. To check out these and other stories, visit the PNA website or follow the Philippine News Agency on Facebook and Twitter. For more stories about the government and how it serves the Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. And that's your daily dose of the latest news and information that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day.